How is everybody doing out there? Welcome to Zombros 36. My name is Johnny J25. I'm here with my co-host. We have the always wonderful Rad Austin 27.
Hey guys, what's going on? Ready for another wonderful week of Zombros action?
We have the his mic is a little bit fishy sometimes. MC Sports Hawk.
Yeah, the mic is dead. Dead mic equals bad voice.
Yeah, we apologize for some audio issues this week. And we have an amazing guest. The one, the only MrRoflWaffles. Say hello.
Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here.
Oh,
It's
God.
perfect every time, dude. I've known you so many years, and it's just cookie cutter perfect.
I'm 90% sure you have an easy button next to you, and when you hit that button, it goes, "Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here."
It's literally just my logo on the desk, and I just hit it like,
Yeah.
"Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here."
Oh,
Oh
God.
my god!
It's the Milo button.
Yeah.
It's got the
that
waffle.
needs to be an application.
Oh, that needs to be a thing now. Somebody write that.
All
So,
right.
we've got an... Oh,
We've had a crazy week, and I definitely am so excited for all the questions that are going to happen this time around. So let's get right into it. What are your thoughts on the prologue for Zetsubou? Oh my god! See, I can't say
Zetsubou no Shima.
Yes, Zetsubou no Shima. I mean, what do you think of this new prologue?
Right.
Ugh.
Yeah. Just straight off the bat, do you guys think that this one was potentially a little less sort of exciting than it could have been, or do you think that it was good?
I thought it, from a storyline perspective, kind of. Because I felt like it was information we already knew going into it. Like, we had assumed the characters were going to travel to the island. Like, of course, they're going to take a boat or something like that. I don't know. Like, there weren't any major revelations we could take from that trailer. That was my take on it.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
think it
feel
was.
the same way. Oh,
Go ahead, go ahead.
No. We both try and jump into Phil like we didn't know who was going and to make sure we didn't have any bit of downtime, and it's just like fuck. But yeah, so I definitely felt that it was awesome, and like the release was awesome in that sense that, oh my god, we got something. We've been waiting so long. But I completely agree with the idea that it's like it wasn't enough, because for us it's like normally when we get our reveal trailer, we see the map and we're like, oh my god, look at this and this. We can start making connections to new things like, oh my god, there's spiders in the map. Oh my god, there's this. This has such massive storyline implications. Well, the prologue just kind of told us, hey, you know, this is the nice how it's all going to happen and set up and what's going to happen with the map. So
One thing I found particularly interesting was that this is the first time I think we've ever interacted with characters who aren't zombified besides our main crew.
yeah.
Like
That's
we have all these Japanese who are on the boat. My theory is that maybe they were escaping the island following an outbreak. It's just
Right.
interesting. I think this is the first time Treyarch has done something like that.
We
They're minor. They're
have
hardly characters,
seen-
I guess you could say, though.
yeah, we have seen, for example, in I believe it's the intro to Buried, there are people. There are a couple of
Yes.
people there. There are like one or two other instances where we have seen sort of non-important characters, but yeah, for the most part, this is the first real relevant interaction there's been with someone that's not been like a main character, essentially.
Yeah, and we've heard, like, of course, we've heard about survivors from the flesh, and we can assume that there would be some survivors. It wouldn't just be our four characters.
There's
But
time.
yeah, it's cool to see somebody else get screen time.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that's true, and significant screen time as well, because like the dude is there for a reasonable amount of time just shouting at Takio, so it's cool to see for sure. And another thing that was
Oh,
as
go
well-
ahead, go ahead. No,
No,
you go
after
ahead.
you.
Okay,
I'm
all right
the
then.
Brit here. I'm the guest.
All right, well, when people went in and translated it, I believe the Japanese were aware of the artifact and its importance, which I found pretty interesting. What do you guys think about that?
So I'm hesitant to agree with you, but at the same time, I just feel like it's so hard to say because of the fact that right now everyone has a different translation of this.
Right.
That could, yeah,
Like-
that could very well be the case.
Glitching Queen pay somebody, an actual like Japanese linguist, to actually translate it. I heard she did that, and for her new video, instead of stowaways, they called them prisoners, which gave it a very different connotation to the whole situation. So now it's like instead of they were stowing away and they were caught, that they were prisoners to begin with.
But like as far as I'm aware, I saw someone sent me a screenshot of her video. I haven't seen the whole thing, so I don't know the full translation that she has. But someone sent me a screenshot, and apparently they referred to the key as a foreign substance, and that just doesn't sound right to me. Like,
I
there's
don't think so. Did they say foreign
No?
substance? I'll go get it up. Yeah, but I don't think so.
Okay.
I thought they referred to it as the artifact, but
maybe that was
That's
an
what
older
the one
video,
I
I'm
saw
not
was
sure.
an artifact, and they called them stowaways. I believe I saw it on the COD Zombies Reddit.
Right. Okay. Maybe we need to check like which, because if there's multiple videos, then
right now, yeah. I mean, there's the problem. Here's the problem we've already run into now.
right. Yeah. And so because of that, because of this discrepancy between the possible translations that everyone is coming up with, I feel like it's sort of difficult to judge, because I mean, if you go back to things like the original, like the Call of the Dead radios, like base information like that, which was really fundamental
You're
for
right,
the
Milo, by the way, foreign substance. They didn't
Right.
say foreign substance. Wow.
yeah, which
That
to
just
me
seems
just sounds
so out of place.
Yeah, exactly. And if that's a proper translation, quote unquote, then I'm sort of, maybe I doubt it a little bit.
So maybe when you're a native Japanese speaker, you would interpret that differently.
quite possibly, yeah.
Because they have different associations with words, too.
That's true, and things don't literally translate as you would sort of hope that they would do, just because of the way that the languages are actually made up. Like, it's so alien compared, or English certainly is so alien compared to Japanese and vice versa. So it's going to be a tough time no matter what. But what I was saying about these sort of older radios, these fundamentals of the storyline, we have, or I know certainly I have, and I'm sure you guys have as well, gone back time and time again and literally had hours of arguments about individual words in those radios and the implications of certain sentences, and just trying to draw out as much info as possible from them. And with those, I think it's justified, because that's set in stone. This is concrete stuff that we can definitely say, okay, Treyarch has chosen the word blah here. For example, the the Shadows of Evil messages talking about the ancient order of the keepers. Those sentences in that radio are so weird, and I've had hours and hours of debate about what individually those individual bits mean. But with this, because we have these multiple translations, I feel like you just can't really do that kind of analysis. It's just not really justified, because of the fact that you can argue for like several hours about a certain word, but then someone else can come in and just be like, well, that's not how I translated it, so your point is moot. So it's much more difficult, I feel like.
Yeah, that's a great point you make too. And even looking back on radios, wording played such a massive role into what we interpret and then take the storyline and run with. So this definitely is going to remain to be seen. So yeah, that whole idea, is it underwhelming? It's a very good point. Compared to what we could have gotten, very much seems like it could have been underwhelming. Matt, do you have anything? Like, you were going to say something earlier.
Yeah, honestly, I thought it was pretty underwhelming. There's really not too much that happened that was like, oh shit, what is this going to mean, or what is this implying? So I was like, I was more looking forward to Noah's questions than the actual trailer. So
Right.
While it is
I mean, it wasn't
underwhelming,
really a trailer; it's an intro cutscene, right?
while it is underwhelming, I would say it did its job, though.
Oh yes,
True,
I mean, it's still
true.
built hype, but we're like what we're used to. We're like, oh yeah, like
I'm
let's
also,
get
I
it
think,
on.
we're a little let down that we didn't get a trailer and we got a cutscene. I think the trailer will make it much more hype.
I would have preferred a
Definitely.
trailer.
But there's tons of hype anyway. We still got so much stuff, so it's not like it's a bad thing. It's not like we're sitting here saying like Treyarch didn't do their job right. It's just like we're just so used to that gigantic explosion of just gameplay for the map and excitement for the map. We're this excited without even seeing the map yet, which is craziness.
I mean, I guess
we find ourselves in this weird situation. I know we spoke about this before we went live, where there's only 2 weeks left before this map comes out, and we would imagine we'd get a memories trailer, we'd imagine we'd get a gameplay trailer, but there isn't enough time, and it makes us wonder what's Treyarch's next move.
it's interesting that people were so fixated on this map being like, oh yeah, it's going to come out on the 29th of March, or like the 5th of April, and now it's like, oh well, actually it's the 19th. Crap.
And rest in peace, PAX.
I feel like there's I was saying this a couple of days ago as well. I feel like there's got to be some reasoning behind the sort of slightly different schedule that we're seeing here, and just the way they are rolling out the new info about the map itself. The fact that they even bothered to get Noah in there, and they bothered to do this whole reveal stream in one of the Treyarch streams. It's an interesting approach to me. And so from the sort of marketing and I guess a bit sort of higher level in terms of like abstraction from the company itself, from Treyarch, it's really interesting to see the approach that they are taking to all of it. So who knows if it's for a reason or if it's just Activision being weird, but it remains to be seen, I suppose.
For the perspective of a YouTuber, it's much appreciated to see Noah go on there, because I feel like it's giving us a little bit more legitimacy that we've kind of wanted for a while now. So I'm really glad that they brought on Noah.
Yeah, that was
I absolutely agree, man. I mean, think about what a jump, like you just said, like that is to go from we never had any communication, even when Jimmy was in charge. It was all these mysteries and shrouded stuff and material. Now we actually have being flown out to Treyarch in a day's time. Noah's out there. He's asking questions. He's playing in Treyarch Studios. And guess what? What was the majority of that reveal? We had maybe 5 minutes of multiplayer. They barely talked about multiplayer, and then almost an hour of zombies. Like, whoa. Like, what a transition.
It was so good just to see. I mean, literally, whenever there's a reveal like this, or at least certainly the impression I get when there's a reveal like this, is that they're like, okay, right, how can we make the multiplayer last for about 45 minutes and then give them, like, 1 frame of a zombies trailer? Like, that's what they're going for every time, right? And so here, the fact that it was just flipped around and they showed us... And I want to make it clear as well, I wasn't disappointed in the intro in the sense that I think it was bad or anything along those lines. Like, I feel like it just wasn't necessarily as packed with info as it maybe could have been. Like, they could have ended up on the island and done some new stuff there, or anything at all. There could have been something to do with Maxis or just some other element playing in there, but instead it was just quite a bread and butter, this is an intro to a map cutscene, which is fine. It's fine. But it's so nice that they went through the multiplayer maps, and you could kind of, I feel like, you could kind of see on the faces of the devs while they were talking that they didn't really have a massive amount to say about the maps themselves, or certainly if they did, they were sort of holding it back a little bit. And so they flew through those MP maps, and then it's just like, zombies, 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 let's go. So that was great. I love that.
Really, I mean, I'm so excited that they are that excited about zombies. It's like taking on this whole new juggernaut perspective of Call of Duty, of how big zombies has become, is more and more gravitated away from multiplayer, even though that's the bread and butter and the big seller here. Zombies has really started to come into the mix and say, hey, guess what? We're here. We're the prime time for Treyarch, and they've recognized that. They really understand the following they have for zombies is really, really big at this point. It's gotten to the unbelievable levels. I mean, you can just see how it's reflected in multiplayer channels versus zombie channels. Like, zombie channels right now are all around, tons of subscribers, and that is what's important and interesting right now in Call of Duty. It's going to be interesting when the next game, Space, comes out, but it's like...
Space.
Let's just really quickly... Cheeky Portal reference there. Let's just really quickly divert from this topic. I just want to get everyone's opinions. Call of Duty 2016, Extinction 2.0. What do you think? Would you like that? Would you just give me some ideas?
Well, John, do you want to go? You're Mr. Exo Zombie.
I'm Mr. Exo Zombies. I'm Mr. Exo Zombies, but I'm not Mr. Extinction. I mean, I enjoy it. Like, they were fun to play through maybe once, twice. Beyond that, no, I don't know. It's weird because I guess it's better than nothing.
Right. But I feel like an original IP, a new start is the way to go for Infinity Ward if they want to have success in the zombie market. I think even making a zombie mode might be the way to go because that's what Sledgehammer did, and they found great success.
No, they can't do another zombies thing because you bastards will then get on your pedestals and say, no, they're ruining the sanctity of zombies. Because that's what everybody did with Advanced Warfare.
Yeah,
drove me nuts.
But,
the thing is, though, is that with Advanced Warfare, they did it, and, like, I have nothing against those devs, and I think that they're all extremely talented and all that, but I really think that they made a lot of really bad decisions with the mode. And that's not just me sort of saying, oh yeah, they ruined zombies. I want it to be like normal Treyarch zombies. But it's just that I feel like they made certain decisions that in terms of not a Treyarch zombies point of view or anything like that, but from the point of view of fun, I think that they were not going in that direction. And
for the sake of debate, can you name one?
Being shot in a zombies mode is the most ridiculously frustrating thing I think you can pretty much ever experience. If we go back to
man.
is it 420 Labs, the custom map from like 2009 maybe.
Yes,
You go back to a map like that, and I'm pretty sure there's something you can do in that map, which means that the people on the little balconies, and I might be mixing it up with a different custom map, I forget, but I think it was that map. There's something you can do, which means that these soldiers on these sort of balcony things start shooting at you. And from that moment forth, in 2009, I knew that being shot by a soldier in a zombies mode is just not fun. And what did they go and do? In the Burger Town map, which I've forgotten the name of right now because it was that unimpressionable on my mind.
Infection.
Infection. There's infection.
I don't remember Burger Town having somebody that shot at you.
Yeah,
I remember it was on the boat. I think they only did it for one map.
Okay, I'm mixing my maps up then. My bad. But
the
soldiers...
in Triton they did that too.
Was there in Triton? I don't remember it in Triton.
I'm almost certain there was shit that shot at you in Triton.
Was the map even called Triton? I think it was.
No.
Was
it a Triton facility?
Was it Descent?
What was the
Descent was the last one.
Yeah, so that was the Triton facility.
Okay, right.
I don't even know. We can't remember the name.
Fun fact about that last map. I didn't even download it. That's the thing with Exo Zombies. Their story, I did my full storyline video before the last DLC had released. Like, it was unnecessary in my opinion, just because, like, all I did for that release was I went to the preview event, I got the gameplay to show you guys the new features and stuff, and then that was it. I didn't have anything else that I felt like I needed to post. There were a few things, one or two, like the little trophies, but that sort of just speaks to the fact that they made so many decisions with that mode, I feel like. Being cut off from areas of the map with gas? What's that about? Bombs you have to defuse? That's the soldiers thing again. What? Like, it was just
That's
really,
Reed, don't
really
you like?
poorly
Didn't you like the
executed,
idea of the gas?
I like the dynamicness of maps. So I'm pro like things getting cut off. Defusing bombs and being shot at is bullshit, but I like that idea like I've talked about in the past. Like if a rocket comes out of the sky, like a 115 meteor, and smashes the Jug machine for 2 rounds, and then Jug appears somewhere else in the map. That's cool to me. That's a really interesting idea. Like how Pack-a-Punch in Call of the Dead comes up and down from the water and changes location. That's cool dynamic maps to me. So that's why the gas was cool, even though it looks like terrible fart mustard gas that's going on. But like what's really, really, really interesting to me is that idea of making it so it makes sense, so it fits the storyline. So that's I'm so plot heavy, even in movies to a fault now. I understand that I really, really care about plot. And I want to know what I'm doing has some sort of meaning to it. In video games, sometimes I understand if we're like, hey, this is fun. You know, if Batman vs. Superman, if you go in, it's just a fun action movie. Don't worry, it's fun. It's a good movie in that sense. But if I'm playing zombies, like, and I go in and we have this crazy atmosphere created and we have these giant paid for cutscenes. So Exo Zombies in particular, we have all these trailers paid for, these actors and all this stuff. And I'll be like, oh my God, what? Oh, this is interesting. And they're hyping it up and we have all this stuff and they clearly care about telling a story here. They've paid big money for actors and animations. And then you're like, why are we defusing bombs? There's people here. What are they doing that for? Where's the gas? This is just Atlas sitting. Like, we never figure out because, like, Atlas is watching. It's just like, really? Really? That's what they're doing?
I feel like that story was really...
It was very surface.
It was so surface. And, oh, man. Like, the fact that we now... I mean, you can finish the... Like, you can play through Shinonuma... and you can play through Dariz, and then you could talk for probably about an hour and a half about those 2 maps alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
With Exo Zombies, ultimately, that story is just... It just doesn't have... across the whole Exo Zombies little saga that they did, it doesn't have that sort of grip that Treyarch have managed to sort of build and create with the story that they've got. And I feel like part of that is the fact that with the origins of the story, it's always been based in these real events and these real things and actual conspiracies and stuff like that, which gives them a lot of credence and means that people have already thought about them a lot before, and they're sort of they're working on the shoulders of giants or whatever. Ha ha, physics quote. But I just feel like with Exo Zombies, they didn't execute as well as they necessarily could have done. But I think with Extinction, they did an absolutely horrific job. I think that was like Exo Zombies was decent and passable, and for the most part, I enjoyed it enough to play through till nearly the end. But oh my goodness,
Right,
Extinction.
Let's talk about that. Like, think about it. They named one of their main protagonists or antagonists Samantha.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like,
The thing
blown away by that.
Yeah, the thing that really sealed the deal for me was they had just, I believe, released the first map, right? So the game had just dropped or whatever. We've got point of contact. That's fine. And they're sitting down, I believe, on a sofa and talking about DLC 1. And they're like sort of doing like an advertising DLC 1 stream, talking about the fact that they'd built these cool multiplayer missions and they had the Mike Myers sort of map and stuff like that. That was all cool. But during that stream, they had at one point, I think like 3 or 4 devs sitting on a couch. And I've said this several times in videos because it just grinds my gears to no end. And the devs there basically said, right, people have been asking us for a story, so here's a story. Maybe, let's see, what if there's a meteorite that hits a volcano?
Oh, Jesus.
And then there are aliens. Yeah, so there's the story, and there's going to be lots more to come in the coming maps. And you could tell straight away they were making it up. And you could tell also that they just didn't care. It was just so pathetic an attempt at making a story. It just frustrated me so much, and I complained to Activision about it. DLC event, I made a fuss about that stream, man. And if they continued Extinction now, if they made an Extinction 2.0, it would really, really sadden me, because they would be building it on these foundations that are paper thin, and I have no inclination to care about those foundations.
That's an excellent point.
Exactly.
I believe that Extinction might have been more fun to play gameplay wise, but storyline wise completely fell flat in his face. Where Exo Zombies had a poor storyline, but at least you could forgive it. You could still be interested somewhat all the way through, in that sense that my biggest problem, my doomsday, is that as soon as you start up the first map, one of the first quotes you'll get is, it's the fucking Atlas Corporation. They're behind it all.
Yeah,
that's it. That's it. That's literally it. You're right. Yeah, that's the story we're telling.
Yeah. How could you explain that story in one sentence? Like, let alone like 20-minute story videos and spending hours talking about things. How would you describe the Exo Zombie storyline? I fucking hate the Atlas Corporation. There you go. It's done. Right, finished.
Yep, that's it. Oh my God, that's ridiculous. All right, so let's get a little bit back on track here.
Sure.
So we all pretty much had our opinions on the prologue of Zetsubou no Shima. So for the next one, what do you think of Jason's comment about a darker atmosphere? Do you want horror maps in zombies? What are your thoughts on this?
Oh, absolutely, yes. When I first started playing zombies, I was legitimately afraid of it. I remember me and my buddies, we'd play Kinder der Toten in our basement with the lights off. And for some reason, of course, it's not the scarier of the maps, but it just still had a creepy atmosphere to it. And it'll make me feel like it'll just feel nostalgic for me if we can get some horror back into the map. And I love what they've done with Verrückt in terms of the atmosphere. And I think that really adds a lot to the maps in terms of quality and just replayability. Well, not replayability necessarily, but I don't know, it just makes me interested to look around the map and explore.
Okay.
I feel like it does sort of lend to the replayability as well, just because in the same way that you might watch a horror film more than once just because you know that you're going to get that thrill every time, there's just something just ridiculously addictive about scarier experiences that you might be able to have in maps. I remember my first experience with zombies, actually, funnily enough, was World at War had just came out, and my friend rang me up, and I literally remember this phone conversation so. He rang me up, and I went and answered my old home phone that was at the top of my stairs where I used to live. And I'm sitting there, and he's like, "Milo, you've got to come over to my house right now." And I'm like, "Why? What's going on?" And he's like, "There's this new thing that's at the end of the campaign in World at War, and I'm freaking out." So I went over to his house, and he was legitimately frightened. He might have been a little more pale than usual. And we literally would sit there and just play Nacht over and over again. And Nacht wasn't even a scary map, but just the fact that it was this new thing that we were completely unaware of. Right, yeah. And the zombies themselves, just the sound that they made in that game. And again, the same as you, Johnny, being in like a dark room and just sitting next to your buddy in complete silence, or, well, depending on the situation. Sometimes it would be silent, sometimes it would be like, revive me, damn it! But just sitting there and just going through the rounds and just the eerie atmosphere. And then Verrückt came out, and I mean, that just took the trophy, man. It's just, Verrückt will never be beaten.
You're in that map when you're just sitting there. Like, I want to talk about this. The ambiance in certain maps is where you can tell when they really get it right. Nocturne Tone, again, I was scared the first time I went through it because there's such a factor of unknown. When we play zombies a lot of time recently, and especially Black Ops 2, there's no scare factor. There's not this atmosphere. You're safe. It's all almost cartoony at this point. You're like, I'm fine. I don't care. There's nothing to even make me wonder, like, back in Nocturne Tone, you're like, what if this? What about, I mean, all that fog? They didn't play with your imagination enough, which is some of the best horrors allow, because you are going to create the worst nightmare, not them. They're not going to be able to do that. So it's like, one of my favorite things I've ever experienced is not maybe from a scary point of view, from the ambiance point of view, is in Shangri-La, the absolute wonder when you're just sitting there, because a lot of people, be running someone around, and you're waiting for a step.
I'm so glad you're bringing this up.
You just hear that magic ring. You hear, like, it's not even the gongs are not even on. It's just that noise was just so interesting. You were just like, this place is magic. It makes it sound like magic. You're like, something's going on. Something I need to figure out. Something strange. When you're in eclipse mode and you just hear the monkeys calling and stuff like that. And that is what has made this map that fundamentally people despised at first, has turned it into this legendary map of Shangri-La. And then in zombies, we get that back with Verrückt, when you're just sitting there and you just hear the banging on the walls, or like the banging close to the incinerators or the cremators. You have the screams going around the map, and you're just like, fuck, like, mate, Jesus, this is really freaking weird.
Go to like Shinonuma, and just as you're walking around that map, you'll be there, and you'll be hearing this sort of swampy noise around you and all that stuff, like some crickets and things like that, maybe some zombie moans in the distance. And then you just hear these children chanting, and they're just, I don't know, it's like singing like a little nursery rhyme or something. And straight away, every time, the goosebumps just erupt all over my arms. I'm like, holy moly, this is absolutely ridiculous. And those sorts of moments, it's the same as well on Shang. I think it's a nursery rhyme again on that map. It's just, it's too much. Just the fact that we might be getting another map with those sorts of ideas as the tent poles of what they are building it on is, it makes me excited, man.
Could you imagine in the new map? Okay, like I just thought about it again, because that whole idea of like Whisper, just sitting there and you're just near a window and you just hear this like, just like, help me. Like back on Shinonuma, remember when you went to the comm
so
room?
Close to the shield.
And you just would go to the right side of the comm room and you'd hear those electric noises, like those electric voices going on.
Yeah.
And you couldn't figure out what it was. And it just like that eeriness drives you to care about the map. And it makes the atmosphere awesome that you can be sitting here really listening. You're hearing all these sounds. You're so immersed. And all of a sudden someone just starts crying and you're like,
oh God,
what is that? I love the idea of this horror maps. What about you, Matt?
I want to shit myself playing this map.
I should have muted the server just before you finished that sentence. You were just like, I want to shit myself.
I really do. I am
I took
so
some laxatives.
excited. That was the one thing that he said that I was like, yes, please give me the scariest map you can think of, because that's what I want. I've been saying that for a while, though. You guys know that.
Oh, absolutely.
Just thank God there's no snow.
Yeah, right?
Oh, it's just going to be downpour of rain instead. It's just like this heavy rain we can't even see. We're like, oh, Jesus.
Oh, God.
That'd be terrible.
Acid rain coming in, boys.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my God. Just massive amounts of fog. Oh, my God. Do you think, okay, so there's rumors about this idea that spiders are going to be in the next map. If spiders are in the next map, do you think it's going to be like a boss round thing or going to be implemented with zombies? What would you think about
So here's the thing. I don't have like arachnophobia or anything, so I'm not talking from the point of view of someone that like is really creeped out by spiders. Like I'm kind of fine with them, really. But just my gut feeling says that a lot of small spiders are worse than like one big spider.
Yes, yes.
Ooh, this is good.
And so I feel like, I don't know, did you guys play Bloodborne?
Mm-mm.
I've seen a lot of it.
Okay, so actually, well, there's this one boss in Bloodborne, okay, that is this big freak, it's like this huge spider thing, and it's not particularly ominous because it doesn't really do a whole lot. It's just sort of in the middle, and it's got a load of other spiders around it that will actually scuttle towards you and attack you and stuff, while the big one just sort of sits in the middle mainly. I feel like if we had a situation like that with like a big spider that you could just sort of see and you knew it and you were sort of able to see exactly what was going on with it, you kind of lose a little bit of the fear factor. It's Rom the Vacuous Spider. And
Rom the Vacuous.
It's such a good name. It's so good.
It's
but
funny.
I feel like the fear comes from more so comes from the sort of legion of spiders that could be creeping towards you at any moment. They've got freaking legs longer than like you could possibly imagine, but they're not necessarily big in terms of being this big hulking thing in front of you that's a great landmass of spider flesh. Like instead, it's the long appendages and just the creeping, scuttling noises, and oh my goodness, that's what the fear is for me.
Think about that.
It's gonna be in this. This map's gonna be made in the sound design. That's what they need.
Yes,
it really is. Like
that's the make or break.
Exactly. I'm definitely with you there, and I feel like if they do bring spiders in, they had better, and I swear if they don't do this I'm going to be really upset, they had better have one of the characters be completely super scared of spiders and losing it at every moment. Can you imagine like a spider?
It has to be Rick. It has to be Richtofen.
Yeah, actually.
I want it to be Richtofen.
I would love that. Oh my god, that would be so good.
The spiders! The spiders!
Yeah, everywhere!
And again, remember him when Kino der Toten? Everybody was pretty fine with the Nova Crawlers, and someone brought up that they have to, if there's spiders in this map or bugs, Richtofen has to say his line from Kino when he kills him, where he's like squishy, squishy little bug. Like,
oh yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's so good. You're right. So, I mean, it would be interesting. It would be interesting to see like Richtofen, even though he's like the butcher, he's the doctor that dissects people. Like, what if he's really has arachnophobia? I can see Nikolai, really. I feel like old classic Nikolai would make the most sense to me because he would just so funny and ridiculous that he would be so scared of spiders. He would just be like, oh, this is crazy.
What if it was Tank, though? Like the big, brave American, terrified of the little spider.
Someone's got to have it. Not Takio. Definitely not Takio, though. This is his map. He's not going to be scared of spiders. He's going to be all about his honor.
What if it's all of them but Takio?
Now that is hilarious.
So like they're all freaking out throughout the whole Easter egg, and he's just like, "These are stupid Americans."
I am at home with the spiders.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he has a story about a pet spider. He tells everybody.
Yeah.
No, that would be Nikolai with the pet spider.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
And I could just see the other guy. She's like, you know what, Tak? You're weird. You're really something else.
No. We just have Nikolai. He's like, it's a spider, but at least it's not my third wife.
Yeah. This spider has nearly as many legs as my fourth wife.
Oh my god. Oh my.
I squished you like my first wife.
Itsy bitsy spider.
I miss original Nikolai so badly.
Oh, I do.
So badly.
He was my favorite of the bunch. I miss him too much.
I feel like, well, part of me does miss the old characters. Part of me just feels like, I don't know. It's the approach now is almost like incomparable to what we had in the past because you go back to a map like any of the World at War maps, for example, and the quotes are there's a lot fewer of them, first of all, but then also now it just, I don't know, I listened through all of the Der Eisendrache quotes, and a part of me was almost sort of a little disappointed, because for Richtofen, I believe we've got like 35 minutes of dialogue, maybe a little bit more than that. I can't actually remember the
it's right around
right now.
Right.
There's so much dialogue from him, and yet just I feel like there wasn't actually that much revelatory stuff in there. There's cool stuff, like the fact that he's asking these characters, like, what is it that's your heart really desires, Takio, and all that sort of stuff. That's really interesting, but it's only interesting at like a base level, and there isn't really enough, at least certainly to sate my thirst for it, that really just speaks to the theorist in me, I feel like. So I'm a little bit disappointed with the direction they're going in now, but then you go back to the past. Right, yeah. I mean, that's literally like Treyarch's tagline right now is we're just going to tease you into a coffin. Seriously, they just
But the Jason Blundell troll face.
The tease in the coffin.
Yeah. The old equivalent to that though was just instead of the quotes that we have now, which are quite sort of straightforward and generic and it's like, oh, max ammo, that sort of thing. In the past, they were still there, but they just had some humor injected, which made them a lot more bearable and made them much more interesting to listen to and fun to experience and stuff. So that's what I sort of miss is the humor more than like the characters themselves, because I feel like the direction they're going with this story is much more interesting for me, at least.
Well, I've been saying the same thing for these weeks because it's like these characters are fleshed out. That's what I love. Me and my buddy Ryan were talking about this. Is the idea that these characters are now personalized to us. They're more than they're just their stereotypes. It's fascinating to see these characters really have a story arc to be developed and be their own. It's not just some carbon copy of a World at War model. Dempsey, Richtof, and Nikolai and Takio have taken on their own personality. People love Takio now. Like, remember the outpour of hatred for World at War Takio? It's so amazing to see these characters reworked into such an interesting way, and that's where you gain so much with these new characters, but just the humor isn't there yet. We haven't gotten that over-the-top, ridiculous, stereotypical humor that we adored for the first 8 or 9 maps.
Johnny?
You were going to say something, John.
No, you pretty much nailed what I was gonna say. Like it's,
okay.
I'm happy to have all this character development, but it is disappointing to have a lack of humor.
Yeah.
So if you're watching Treyarch, during the live stream, maybe we should even call that out because that's when they're actually watching for the Easter egg live streams. We gotta tell them we want more humor. We want all the humor.
Yeah, I don't see why they can't incorporate humor into these characters. I understand they want them to be serious and they want them to have multiple dimensions to them. They're not just playing off really exaggerated stereotypes. I still can't see why they don't incorporate some more humor.
Well, I mean, they've been building this camaraderie all the way through now. So I think this is the map. This is the map, and then the next one, we should really start getting this whole, like, nagging and bagging on one another. It's not this
they should be playing off each other.
Exactly. I think we're at that point now.
It's like, I kind of wonder if Treyarch is worried that might take away from the map that they're trying to make. Like, with this map, if they're trying to make it really scary, if they're sitting down in like a design meeting and going, okay, I've finished the spider noises, and they've got this like weird sort of schlucking little walking sound, and it's just like, holy crops, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What if they then have another person at that table go, oh yeah, I've written a load of dialogue, or Craig Houston sitting there, I've written a load of dialogue here, and it's like Nikolai making a like pull my finger joke or something? Would that sort of diffuse the tension a little? And I don't know.
You're right. That's a good point, because for this map in general, that's such a hard argument, because I just want to be scared in this map. I really want an all-in scared map, so those jokes wouldn't be welcome, but some of them would be, I guess, at parts. That's a tough line to walk, especially in the next map anyway. Let's say next map, a lot of humor for sure. But here we should be getting some jokes. Like, we really want to see that spider stuff that's funny, but also get it where it's just creepy. Hopefully they can mix it in properly, where it's not every other line's a joke, but every now and then, because that's all it was. And oh my God, it's just so funny. Listening back to some of the old maps, it just doesn't stop.
I think the key thing is really them being able to sort of sufficiently differentiate between sort of slapstick humor and like toilet humor, that sort of thing, and actual wit. Like, if they can get some really like actually well thought out clever jokes in there that aren't just the generic pull my finger sort of style, then you can thread that in so much better into these multi-dimensional characters that are real people now, than you can them just suddenly breaking form and going, oh yes, I've just shit myself. Like, I feel like that would be the direction they would need to go in.
That's good stuff. That is good stuff.
Yes,
All right. So with all this development we've been talking about with the characters, can we finally trust Richtofen? Jason Blundell even said in the live stream, "Hey, we give Richtofen such a tough time, and dutifully so. He only screwed us over like twice now.
Only twice. Only took over the world like once. Like
yes, and blew it up.
Forgivable.
Then took over the ether or sent it to Orgatha and whatever. Just like only 2 times he's absolutely manipulated us at every turn of the road. So can we finally trust this Richtofen?
No.
Good old Milo. I agree. I think Jason's trying to get us to trust just so we can pull a fast one
Jason
over us later
Blundell
on.
is a filthy liar. Straight up. Like, Jason, if you're listening to this, buddy, what on earth are you trying to pull the wool over our eyes here? Like, we're not that silly, mate. Richtofen is not to be trusted. No way. Not a chance in hell.
There's no reason to. He hasn't done anything to redeem himself.
Richtofen is the kind of guy that will be like your best friend while it suits you, or rather while it suits him. And he will literally then, I mean, he just doesn't care. He really doesn't care. And it's shown, it's come up in his personality throughout World at War, through Black Ops 1, through Black Ops 2. And I feel like now, the about turn that we've had with this character of suddenly, oh yeah, he's really trying to save us, guys. Like, this time he's serious. Sure, no, just no. There's no way that we can trust him. There's no way that he's doing what he says he's doing. And that's the thing. He won't even tell us what he says he's doing because he's like, not now, Takio. You have to wait till later. It's ridiculous. Oh, man. There's no way we can trust him.
I feel like he's got roses in one hand and a dagger in the other. I don't...
Yeah, and he's about to pick that rose up and start stabbing it repeatedly with the dagger. He doesn't give a damn.
Oh, my God. How about you, Matt? Do you trust Richtofen yet?
I love the guy, but I'm going to have to agree with Milo. Cannot be trusted.
Damn, everyone shot that down. All right.
He's just
he
hasn't redeemed himself. He hasn't redeemed himself.
Fair enough. I mean,
and
play devil's advocate for me right now, okay? Give me an argument for why we should trust Richtofen. Go.
All right. So we could trust Richtofen because he's had this horrible burden of knowing what must be done. This whole premise will fail. Maxis has set him on this journey. He has some information that is just so tough for him to share, like killing Dempsey 1.0. We knew that would be so tough. And then we saw how difficult that was for Tank 2.0 to turn off the life support on himself. So Richtofen is, by opening up at the end of Der Eisendrache and letting Tank take over, we saw that next step into the door. And he's now saying these words like, we can do this together. And he's letting them in on the plan. They're working as cohesive units now. If we hear more audio, especially in this next map, that's Richtofen's almost telling them, like, this is what we have to do. We need to work through this stuff for each of the characters. We need to, figure out what the final solution is for this zombie apocalypse, in what way, shape, or form. Like, then we can really trust Richtofen. He's actually trying to do this for the greater good. I mean, every map he's gotten a little crazier, but he's not going evil crazy. He's not doing these things like we used to hear him do. Like, some of his old quotes were just, yeah, that's a bad guy. That's an evil guy. You can even hear in his speech that he's more just like, I just need to save people. I spent many happy years making my inventions in here. Like, really, before 115 corrupted Richtofen and drove him crazy, we can see this version of Richtofen is a good guy. That's devil's advocate. And I don't know if I believe it. But.
So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting hearing the sort of the other side, and thank you for playing a very good devil's advocate there. Good stuff. But even then, with those points sort of brought up, I feel like the issue that I have is the fact that right now, if Treyarch want to invest in the idea that he is a good guy, they need to give us some concrete evidence that that is actually the case. Because right now, we're working on his word. And if at any point we get proof that we're not just working on his word, and there's actually some fundamental good that he's trying to enact here, then fair enough. Maybe the chap's made a turnaround. Maybe this one hasn't gone evil like the Origins cast refer to the 1.0 Richtofen that they kill off. They're like, is this crazy evil Richtofen or good Richtofen? Like,
Right.
I feel like right now, if we listen to Richtofen say, I alone can vox this path and all of that, and then there's nothing to actually show for it until we get to DLC 4, and then he's like, ha ha, tricked you, then that's just, it's gonna suck. So
it's gonna be the same thing we've experienced every god-darn season.
yeah, and so for that reason, even with the points about how, yeah, he's got this knowledge for some reason, and he knows that he's got this great task ahead of him, but for all we know, that great task could just be him taking things over again, and him taking over not just a universe, but the multiverse this time. So,
oh my god, I swear to God, if Richtofen somehow tries to take control of the Aether or the Ether and Agatha and all that stuff, I'm just gonna be so done. That would be a colossal disappointment for DLC 4, for him to get in control and fix everything. Would just be like, really? Like, he got in control and then he went into, like, he was that close to fixing everything, but because he was evil and he just like, oh, I'm gonna go into Stuhlinger's body. Just like, really?
that ending was,
oh my god,
oh dear. Jimmy. But I don't know, like, it is really interesting that we do now have that multi-dimensional character starting to appear. One of his Der Eisendrache quotes is, stay focused, Edward. You are not yourself. You are not yourself. And just those sorts of introspective comments about his own psyche and the way he's carrying himself and stuff are really interesting to have. But then at the same time, it still seems like he's just completely unwilling to actually reveal what's going on. And there's a hella good chance that he's going to just turn his backs on all of us at the end. And that's going to be that.
When you don't reveal your plan, it makes it sound like you have something to hide.
Exactly.
That's what holds me back on trusting him.
Makes
Absolutely.
sense. You're all making good points. I mean, I don't disagree with you. All right. So Jason talked about during that live stream as well about what's canon. So what are your thoughts on zombies being all canon and that teleporters alone could mess with timelines? He suggests that every time you teleport could be creating new timelines or messing with the space-time continuum. And does that make you a little uncomfortable? Because do you like the fact that Dead Ops Arcade is a part of our story, and quite possibly the horrible release of DS versions? You have the Wii versions that have come out with the Great Leap Forward quotes, but we have those DS maps that are just like atrocious.
Yeah,
but
man,
they could still make
Peter's
sense.
Grave.
Like they could.
I will
fit
never
into the
consider them
storyline.
canon. They won't be
Hey,
canon.
Don't diss the Wii, man. Okay.
No, I don't have an issue with the Wii zombies. It's the DS zombies. They will never be canon in my book.
How? I mean, it might not even be our characters playing in the DS. I'm gonna go check that out. Actually,
I just refuse to acknowledge their existence in the story.
Johnny,
Yeah.
Peter's Grave, canon or not?
Repeat
Oh,
that.
there you go.
Repeat that.
Peter's Grave, canon or not?
Ooh, are you referring to the iOS version?
I believe it's iOS, yeah.
It was originally on DS. but then, yes, on
That's
iOS.
difficult. Can I use the multiverse escape card?
Yeah, but that's exactly what it is. That's it is. What they're
Go
talking
for
about.
it. Give me the multiverse escape card.
Well, you could make the argument that you have two different universes. In one universe, Peter is hanging from the rafters, and in another universe, he got a proper burial. I mean, that's the lazy excuse. That's the quick and dirty way out.
Right. So before Black Ops 3 dropped, I met up with Jason, like I've said several times, and we were talking, and one of the things that I said to him was that I hate multiverse. I was like, Jason, in Black Ops 3, if you start being like, oh yeah, there's multiple universes, and there's multiple worlds, and there's multiple iterations of everything like happening constantly, I will be very disappointed. And then in Black Ops 3, that's exactly what we got. So that was a real shame, but my sentiment and my feeling towards it still very much stands, that I really, really feel like any time your explanation for something is, yeah, it was a different universe, it's a cop-out.
No, it 100%
Right.
is, and
Yeah.
I made that excuse for a reason, because it is a cop out, and that's
Yeah.
what I worry about with zombies. I don't like the idea of everything being canon, because I feel as though the iOS version shouldn't be canon. I feel
Why?
there's a
Why?
lack of continuity in the development of the zombie storyline. For example, we had two different directors over the course of the story, and originally the story was kind of just written as they went along. And as a result, you're going to get a lot of errors and you're going to get a lot of mistakes. And what's the easiest way to fix those mistakes? Oh, multiple universes. It opens the door to use this way too tempting excuse, and that's what I don't like about it.
But why are you upset about this excuse? That legitimizes everything. You have a multiverse theory that makes everything make sense. You have these things like facility, temple, overlook, house, nameless characters that are being murdered by zombies in this universe. All these universes have zombies bleeding through. You have a Dead Ops Arcade universe where everything's crazy. How can you possibly explain that? So you just say some things are canon, some things aren't? You're just going to go into the Marvel, DC universe route? And even they have multiverses, but you're trying to say only certain maps that are legitimized and have a lot of time and effort put into them are what counts. These other universes aren't affecting the main storyline. You can't be pissed off at DS universes and be like, oh my God, this totally, the Peter's grave just doesn't make any sense. It's just like, it doesn't have to. I mean, there's so many variations.
The issue for me is that it's just, there's a complete lack of finesse in saying, oh, there's some info there. It doesn't line up with my idea. Into another universe it goes. Like, it's that sort of fallback that I am completely worried about, both from Treyarch's point of view and from the sort of theorizing community as well. Like, I feel like my approach has always been, or certainly before Black Ops 3, it always was that in terms of just sort of my moral direction that I wanted, the direction I wanted things to go in, I wanted everything to be one universe. I wanted everything to sort of consolidate. And I guess that's maybe like a bit too sort of realistic an outlook. Maybe I'm sort of taking the real world for granted a bit there and saying, oh, well, if then maybe in zombies that should be the same as well, and it should just be one set finite thing. And clearly it's not going to be completely the case, but that's what I wanted for the story. And so in Black Ops 3, when they went down the multiverse route, I just can't help but feel like it belies potential laziness, not only in past creations that they have built, but also in future decisions that they might make. If they implement something and then they go, oh, well, this doesn't really work with the story that we've got right now. In this current Black Ops 3 arc, they can just go, yeah, we're just going to relegate that to another universe, and that's fine. That's problem solved. Little tick, done. In the past, about ways that they themselves could consolidate that info to bring it into the universes that we had at that time. And the fact that they now have a get out of jail free card, just in my opinion, means that there is a danger that they'll use it. Whether they necessarily do more so than they should, I don't know. I'm not sitting in Treyarch right now talking to the devs as much as I wish I was, but I feel like it's just gives them the potential to be more lazy with their creation of the story. And for that reason, I really hesitate. I at face value, I definitely don't like it.
Milos, I missed about half of what you just said, but I did hear you say the get out of jail free card. And that's my exact point. I don't like them having a tool such as that. It's just it's lazy storytelling, and I feel like Zombies deserves better than lazy storytelling.
Okay, so you're saying it's lazy, but it's at this point of no return. Like where we were at the end of Origins is like they were backed up into this corner where they could not have written their way out of it without this multiverse or a different universe or completely rewriting everything, which they've almost done a mix of all three. And what's more interesting to me about like you guys say, it's a get out of jail free card. My issue is that it has no weight. Like a lot of people love Game of Thrones, and I've made this example before, because when someone's dead, they stay dead, minus a couple exceptions. People stay dead. There's weight to every decision, to every fight, to every battle, to every time you're worried for these characters. Here, we don't give a shit. I mean, no matter what happens, no matter what plot issue happens, there's no weight because they can unwrite it with multiverse. I get that. But they're at this point where you have thousands, if not millions of people playing this game, millions of billions, infinite different ways. You can play this map a million trillion different ways. You're always going to have a unique experience no matter how you play zombies, no matter who you're playing it with, and no matter how many times you complete the Easter egg, it's always going to be different. So trying to explain like why in one game this will happen, or they'll die, or one person survives in this game, you can only sort of focus in on this whole idea of like the most popular and mainstream idea of like quantum physics with the BioShock Infinite idea of many universes, many different scenarios, all possibilities are a reality. So I don't see it as lazy writing. I see it as they got screwed. They got put into a corner, and this was the only way out. Because think what Jimmy did to them. And we have this handoff to Jason. What could Jason possibly do to make everything legitimized, to make sure everything works as smoothly? Just like you're just going to have continuity errors. And if you don't say the multiverse thing, you're going to have everybody complaining about the continuity errors. Everyone's going to be like, oh, my Lord, this is ridiculous. Like, why did we even do this map? Why did this map? Like, Jabs Arcade doesn't even matter. Like, Dead Ups doesn't make any sense. It's just stupid. Like,
once you use that tool, though, I feel as though you should put it in a box to not be used again. It should be used very seldom. And when he says something like teleporting creates the possibility of multiple, let me repeat that. When he says that teleporting could create new universes, that gets me a little worried.
I mean,
think about every time they've teleported on screen, they could have landed in another variation of time.
Those are
universe.
Billions of universes suddenly created.
Exactly. That all of a sudden becomes a ridiculous permutation.
It exponentially grows.
It's gone.
I think the crux of the issue for me is that ultimately I don't like the idea of multiple universes. I recognize the fact that with maps like Origins and Mob of the Dead coming in, clearly they are a thing, and so it would be folly for me to say, oh yeah, no, I'm just going to try and figure out a theory that means that like there is no need for multiple universes. Like obviously that would be silly at this point, but it's when they go down the route of sort of saying, oh yeah, exactly what you were just sort of saying about teleporters. Something that you've been sort of fine with for a long time now. This idea of a continuous story that you've got the timeline of in Black Ops 1 or Black Ops 2, whatever, and then going back there and saying, yeah, that might not just be a straight line. That might instead just be this completely infinite web of who knows what. And it means that from the theorist point of view, you might as well just say, oh yeah, every map is actually just its individual thing. We have no way of knowing if they're in the same universe or not at any given time because Treyarch doesn't give us that information as much as they might try to with certain quotes and things. Ultimately, if there's potential for you to go into another universe that looks the identical same in that map time period, but then doesn't act the same way in a future map, for example, then how are the characters going to know where they are, let alone the players and the theorists? So I just feel like it means that the story it's less important.
It's not. Actions have any consequences.
Right,
because you're affecting a billion. You're only affecting one universe. Meanwhile, there's billions of others that are just as screwed up.
And I think ultimately Treyarch's sort of their master plan with this is to say, okay, what's going to happen is we're going to get to DLC 4, there's going to be a great battle, it's going to be a sort of Ragnarok scenario, the gods are going to die, the world is going to be reborn, and ultimately the universes are going to be collectively, in their own infinite way, be saved from this zombie outbreak, this scourge that is going across all of them. But while that is what I think is going to be on the cards, I can't help but feel like it's just a bit underwhelming. Just, I don't know, there's something to that makes me feel like Black Ops 3, the story of Black Ops 3 is just going to end up being summarizable with the idea of there are infinite universes and there are zombies, and then they get to the end and there aren't zombies anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then it will be summarized with, I fucking hate the Atlas Corporation.
There you go. Yeah.
Only playing.
What a range.
Don't get too worked up, Reed.
Have anything to say about that, Matt?
Well, you guys talk a lot, that's for sure.
Wow.
Holy shit, man. You guys went in.
It's a long episode. People are going to be happy.
They are.
It's always when Milo's on. I accepted this. When Milo's on, it's going to be a long episode.
It's part and parcel with how we
Fair enough. Yeah, there's not much I can say after all that. You guys pretty much covered every single thing. So.
Well, how do you feel, though? What is your feelings, though?
Honestly, I've never really thought too much. I never played either version, so I don't really know how those work. But I would imagine that
Can I
they're
get
kind
this?
of
I
more.
want to go on eBay.
She's gonna go play it.
I'm
all
legitimately
I gotta
curious.
say is don't disrespect the Wii U ever. And I would say that they're not part of canon. I'm just gonna go on a whim and say that and be simple about it because we gotta keep moving.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to be a
All right.
stubborn child and
So
just refuse
for
to accept
our next
it.
question here, what do you think of the Wonder Weapon not being upgradable in Shadows of Evil? My personal theory on the whole idea is when Jason sat there and smiled and said, "I'm going to be as clear and cryptic as possible," you cannot upgrade the Wonder Weapon in Shadows of Evil, and that is interesting to me. Possible to do something else in a different map, or maybe even in the vault. I didn't even think of that till just now. Maybe in the vault screen, like we unlocked Dead Up's Arcade, something to impact the game that'll allow us to actually upgrade the Wonder Weapon. I'm curious of your thoughts.
I don't think we can upgrade that gun.
Interesting. All right.
I just straight up think that him saying that is him giving the classic historic Treyarch approach of never giving a straight answer. And so what he's essentially said there is the community's been hunting clearly for ages.
Oh my
and they've
God.
dug into the code and they found that the gun is not upgradable. So what he's going to do is he's going to give the only option that the only answer that he can that A, satisfies the people that know that it's not upgradable in the code, but B, means that there is no way that you can possibly dig through absolutely the entire game code to figure out if you can upgrade it somewhere else. And as such, we'll never know if it is fully upgradable or not. So that's just my take on things, really.
I don't know. I'm not really all that interested in upgrading the weapon at this point.
He's
It
talking,
feels like...
but I don't hear anything. Do you hear anything, Milo?
Yeah,
Do you not hear me? Do you not hear me? Can you hear me?
Johnny?
Okay,
I
good.
can,
Going.
yeah.
At this point, I
Reed
just...
can't, though. Hold on. Reed can't. Reed, do
Yeah,
you...
so wait. I can't...
Why can't you hear me?
happened?
That's weird.
Have you muted the... Can you hear me? Fine?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. What happened to John? Yeah, his volume's max.
Did you
Keep talking,
click on-
John.
Okay. I just don't care at this point if the Wonder Weapon
I
can
hear
be
nothing.
up. Really?
Okay, that's weird.
That is weird.
We'll just cut this section out of the show. Hopefully,
Yeah, that's
I gotta remind myself because I forgot to do that last time and that was embarrassing.
Hi guys that are watching this when you shouldn't be watching it because they forgot to cut it out.
Well, now I might include this for fun.
Technical issues with the team. Hell yeah. All right, Reed.
This is a true fireside chat, you know?
Yeah,
Don't cut anything
fireside.
out.
We'll have to have a spin-off podcast, Fireside Chat with the boys.
All right,
Yeah,
Reed's
we're gonna
good
do
now.
that at some
Reed,
point.
can you
That'd
hear
be
me?
something that'd be interesting. Yeah, I'm good now.
All right,
Okay.
Everything was fine. I've had a master file. I heard Milo. He never cut out on mine, so that's why I was like, no, everything was perfect.
While we're breaking the bounds of the show, does Discord ever cut out for you guys occasionally?
It's been fine for me.
It's
Yeah,
happened
it's been
twice so
fine.
far for me. I'll lose you guys for about maybe 10 seconds and then it cuts back in.
Your shitty internet.
Maybe
Oh,
I
shots
might
fired.
need. Well, you know, fuck Comcast. Fuck Comcast. You can rip on them all you want. I might.
No, while we're at it, I want to rip on you, Johnny, because we have some beef to take care
I
of.
wanted to
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about. I wanted to bring this up in the beginning of the show. That's why I asked to do
Oh,
the intro.
boy.
Are we back on? Are we back on?
No, we're not. We're not back on.
We're back
So-
on.
so-
Wait, because let me
what are we
finish.
cutting out right now?
We're leaving it all in. It's all going in.
I don't know.
Go
I'm
in.
not really sure.
Fuck it, we're doing it live.
Fuck it. I guess this is all in. All right.
Go on.
Let me
Add a
just.
launcher
My
on.
point was that I just don't give a shit if their Wonder Weapon is upgradable at this point. It's old news to me. This map is 4 or 5 months old. I don't really. Who
Yep.
cares? That's how I feel about it.
I'm honestly like, when people were doing the searches for the upgrade, I was like, okay, I'm fine with this just because that's the way it's always been in zombies. People have to hunt for stuff, and that's okay. And then people were hunting for an Easter egg on the giant, and I was like, okay, this is
We're grasping at straws here.
but sure, go ahead, just have a good look, and when you get those lighting glitches, just try
Run
and
with
calm down. It's
Can we please take them as like a grain of salt?
Yeah, and now with people like still hunting for upgrades and stuff, it just feels like if you're making if you're sort of selling the idea that the gun is upgradable and you're going to find the way to do it and that's going to be that, then you're selling yourself and you're selling the community short, because that's not the way anything's ever going to be found. So I don't know. I feel like if it was upgradable, great. If we find that out in 3 years' time, great. At this point, I'm more interested in like 2 sentences of ADFGX cipher than I am about an upgradable wonder weapon. So it's like...
Exactly. I'd much rather talk about the story than whether or not this weapon can be upgraded. There's far more interesting stuff to discuss. Every so often, the community... I feel like this happens every month. Somebody finds a new lighting glitch, and then like 4 or 5 other channels jump on this bandwagon. I won't say any names. But it's like, come on, guys. There's other stuff we can do.
Yeah.
This doesn't need to be our focus.
Storyline all day. Baby.
Yeah, just storyline for all the guys. More storyline. Oh,
hell yeah.
All right. So, what do you think will be the boss for the final map in Zombie? Or not final map, I'm sorry. For
this map?
For this DLC. For this map, what do you think the final boss will be? The big boss fight? Because Jason made it abundantly clear in that conversation with Noah that he now likes the boss fights. It's a big exclamation point at the end of a map.
Can I say it, or is it too low hanging fruit? Can I say it?
Go for it.
Space Dogs. Space Dogs.
Oh my fucking god!
Yes. Oh,
Are the fruit hanging too low?
You stole it right from me, dude. You stole it from me.
I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, probably like 2 other people had the same thought too.
Well,
my god!
Maybe the fruit are hanging too low.
Matt is able to drop the real bomb though, which is going to be the final boss of the entire Black Ops 3 story arc. Is going to be the horse on transit.
Yeah, you guys, the recognition is great. I love it. I'm so excited. I was hoping someone would get both. You guys nailed it. I'm really proud of you.
Matt, I'm just curious. Your apartment, are the walls made of concrete? Because it sounds like it.
Dude, it probably sounds like butt cheeks right now. I got nothing.
I mean, concrete and butt cheeks, not quite the similarity.
And not even close,
composition.
I know rent is expensive in LA, but I hope you're not paying a lot for concrete and butt cheeks.
Yeah. It would be expensive out here even if I was.
Probably.
The apartment. But no, a boss for DLC 2? I think we're going to get one.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's a guarantee.
But cheeks, I don't know whether it will be the same kind of approach as they took in DE, or if it's going to be done in a different sort of manner.
Interesting.
It might be a bit too obvious for them to drop us into this big cavern below the floor and fight a giant spider, for example. Like,
right.
That might just be a bit easy to see coming. And I think the thing about the Keeper that was so good, and Reed, I mean, like, we were both sitting in that game, got into the Keeper fight, and lost our marbles because suddenly we're alive for like 28 seconds and then we're dead. And it's like, well then, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
And I feel like if they did the same thing this time round, it might just be a bit too much like, oh, now we're at the boss fight, instead of holy moly, what's going on? So there's like a strong to decent chance that we might be, I mean, I don't know, they could go in so many different directions. They could, for example, get the Gatana Thoa, or whatever it's called, that thing from the Cthulhu mythos, that could come in. They could just go down the spider route. They could go for some big man-eating, like, Triffid or something. They could go wherever they wanted to. But if they did it in the same way that they did in DE, it might be a little easy to see coming.
I think that's an excellent point, Milo. That's something I hadn't really considered too much of, because we would be extremely disappointed if they drop us off into another cavern and we just fight a boss again. That would be a big disappointment. I see it more almost like, I think Extinction, take a page out of their book, when a boss showed up on the map. So it's one of those big events that, like, something might be happening in the sky on the map. You might even change the idea. It doesn't necessarily, like, a boss fight could be an event, some kind of big event that you have to survive, something else you have to do. So you could have, like, on the island, the tides all come up on the map and they push you to a certain part, something that's unique to the map. So you're stuck in a certain area and maybe you have to survive, like an Area 51 type thing. Something like that would be very, very interesting approach where all of a sudden it's this all-out survival instead of this whole idea of just fighting one boss, finding their vulnerability, killing them 3 times in a row, and then getting whatever justified means to the ends. Like, whatever it is, I like this idea of every map having a unique way to end it. Some kind of exclamation point, that whole crescendo or climax to a Easter egg.
You know, it'd be interesting. You mentioned like having the boss actually come down onto the map like we saw in Extinction. I would love to see something like that, but the boss actually affected the layout of the map and maybe blocked some paths or created new paths for us to take. Like, not necessarily new areas.
The robots do
but
that.
just different
Think about
routes.
that, even as briefly as they did. Robots changed the map in Origins.
Yeah, exactly. They blocked different paths. Yeah, that's exactly it. Only these would be permanent changes that would only affect the map after you've completed the Easter egg.
So
interesting.
How about the Master Trump card from Treyarch? Okay, how about
the wall?
They're
the border
sitting
wall?
there and no. How about they sit down and they're like, right, guys, the one way we can really bring this to the next level, the boss is gonna be the island itself.
Oh no!
And we're gonna get to the end of the Easter egg,
Yeah.
and suddenly everything's
so
gonna tip over. It's gonna be like everything's gonna go vertical.
Oh
and
no!
We're gonna be like, holy cow!
It's so
we're literally-
easy. You're so right. Oh my god, so no.
I feel like it would be. It might be again a little bit sort of cliched.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
There's so much popular culture. I mean, even I remember playing a Lego game when I was a kid. It was like, what was it called? The little Lego things that would like go in a ball and like roll around. Did you guys ever have
No.
those? Bionicle.
Bionicles.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Right. Yeah.
love them.
Yeah. Sorry, I was getting my toys mixed up there. But like with those, the whole thing with that storyline, funnily enough, going back like 15 years or something now, is that the island, which I believe was called Mutanui. Oh my goodness, how I remember that, I don't know.
God, dude.
In that, the
Did you
island
play the video
was...
game?
Yeah. I got it out of a box of Kellogg's.
Get out of here.
Kellogg's cornflakes had a little Bionicle disc in it. And in that story, the island itself was this big, living, breathing thing. And if they did something like that with this map in DLC 2, I don't know, I just feel like that would be dope. It would just be so cool. So Treyarch plus do something like that, maybe. Just maybe.
There is some mythology they could play with. I know Treyarch loves to tap into that.
Absolutely.
Although it'd be Native American, it doesn't really fit in as well. But
they can go any direction they want, though.
They could, definitely, totally.
Yeah, they can by all means just be like, well, yep, this is... Because they aren't explicitly going to say in any capacity that this is actually Pompeii. They've given us the coordinates, but they can quite easily just say, oh yeah, this is a cursed... I mean, it's the Island of Despair, right? This is some kind of cursed island that is going to have some mythology associated with it relevant in our real world, because they're going to be drawing and accruing it from various different islands and various different places on Earth, but it's still relevant to this one particular place in the universe that they're creating.
Speaking of Pompeii, I'm going to seriously have a hard time with all the comments suggesting we're in Italy when we throw around the term Pompeii.
Yeah.
It's going to be painful.
I'm hoping they give us something other than Zetsubou no Shima to call it. Like, just something in the same way that you can call Dreisendacher Griffin Castle, and it's just like, thank you, that's nice and straightforwards. If they do something like that here, make it at least pronounceable. Like, if they want to call it some kind of lab or some kind of facility, don't just say the island facility. That would be maybe a little bit mundane, but I'm sure
or in
there's something
typical
they-
Blundell fashion, the new name is even harder to say.
Yeah, literally.
Zetsubou no Shima Draken.
It's written in kanji. You literally can't
Yes.
sort of translate it unless you can read the bloody...
The next map is just going to be clicks. It's a bunch of clicks.
Oh, what if the name was in Braille?
Oh my god.
That's that would be so Treyarch.
Not even the blind
so
people could
Treyarch.
read it because it'd be on a flat monitor.
Right, yeah. That would be terrible. But Yeah. So Treyarch, so troll, so good.
So I think there's a couple things we need to address that have come up in previous shows. First things first, I think we all as a group, except for maybe Milo, owe Jack an apology. We called him out.
Jack.
Yeah.
We said, "Where's this rap?" And he delivered.
Okay.
It was
It's fantastic. And you guys can check out Jack's rap in the description as well. It'll be linked in the cards.
Yeah, it'll be in the
so
show
you can
notes.
check out his amazing rap.
Some of
I
think one of the
call
best
him out?
videos I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Did you guys sort of call him out on the show and like?
Yes,
we're never
yes.
gonna post it,
Yeah,
so-
Yeah.
absolutely call him out on the show.
Yeah, we
that's
were like,
fantastic.
where the heck is this rap? Because he'd been hyping it for weeks and nothing had came about.
Right.
Yeah, I called him out multiple times.
But then he also put match tweet in the rap, I think, as well as the thumbnail of the episode.
Oh, I remember that now at the beginning. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep.
I had actually forgotten we had called him out until I saw that.
It was that long, goddamn.
Well, see, he told me he was making this like 2 or 3 months ago, and he'd always send me snaps of like different lines and stuff he had, and I was like, damn, this is gonna be dope. And I was
Yeah, remember when he
waiting
wrote in
for
the
it for
Blundy
so
B? He
long.
was remember in the Blundy B? He was like, "All right, guys, who should I roast in this rap?"
Yeah,
And that was when the map. I think that was when the map came out.
Damn.
Yeah. It's been a long time in the mix, but my God.
And we're just twiddling our
Pat's
thumbs like,
cameo
"Where is
in
it?"
there. Good stuff. Good stuff.
He's like, "No, not me. Chief, I lost it then." Well done.
That was great.
And what's the other thing that needs to be addressed about
There's-
Son Unsub?
So a certain somebody in the community made a completely unwarranted hate. I won't name names, okay? But
No,
somebody
yeah,
made
that would be low.
It would just be rude. Somebody
Yeah.
made a hate video towards me, and I felt it was uncalled for.
Really?
Yeah.
You care to explain more about this person?
Well,
Yeah.
I was playing a great game of zombies. Wonderful time. I was streaming with, I won't name their names either. And my I was trying to leave the rocket area, but my controller shut off right in front of the door. And then that person got in between me and both sides of the door, and they were crushed. And now this was an accident. This was me quickly trying to plug my controller back in.
Right.
And I apologized profusely. I sent apology letters. I sent chocolates to this person's house. And then they go and make a video that says unsub Johnny J. And I was heartbroken. I spent the rest of the day in bed crying. I couldn't
Wow,
believe
you
it.
are a sensitive human being.
I couldn't believe it.
Holy shit.
And I
John.
demand an
I didn't
apology
know
from
this
this
much.
person.
That won't be named, apparently.
Well, they know who they are.
Yeah. Interesting. It's an interesting story there.
So I mean, okay, how
Really
about this?
curious.
So
No, in all
How
seriousness, Matt. It was a dick move, but the opportunity was there. I'm sorry, though.
Yeah.
I hope you...
I don't feel bad about the video. I really don't.
No.
I'm hoping that everyone listening to this right now is listening on one of the 3 channels that isn't yours. Because they should have unsubbed you by now.
Oh my god. Some people actually got mad though in Matt's comments. It was hilarious. He's just like, just unsub for that son of a bitch. And just like, whoa.
Yeah, there were some people that just didn't get it, and I was like, all right.
it's like the decline of Johnny J begins now.
Like in 30 years from now, I'll think back to when everything all went wrong. And it was me standing in front of that door.
They'll be like, first the Mexican test subject, and now this.
Not only is John a racist, but he also betrays friends. He's worse than Richtofen.
There you go. Like,
I
we
mean,
should
at
all
least
just-
Richtofen only tried to take over the world. John used the word Mexican in a video. How dare he?
Oh my goodness.
Bastard.
Without context, no one is going to understand what the hell is going on.
No,
Oh,
nobody
no.
will. But I'm okay with that.
Like, just for clarity, Johnny is indeed a racist. So
Oh, 100%.
we can now move on with the
Yeah.
rest of the question.
I guess I can't run for president now.
No, yeah. Well, no, you can, yeah. Like, you're in.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
actually, that's right. The
maybe,
way the
maybe.
United States works now. Ugh.
Yeah.
You
Oh my
can,
God.
and you
All right.
probably will win.
Yeah. Oh man. All right, here we go. We're getting off topic now. Oh god, we don't want to get into politics. So this has been a fantastic, amazing week of Zombros action. A nice long podcast for everybody after the incredible reveal of DLC 2. I want to thank Milo so much for coming on the show. It's always a pleasure to have you on and talk zombies. Where can we find all your content, Milo? Why does no one know where their shit is?
I mean, I was gonna say
like some of it's on Pornhub, some of it's on YouTube,
well,
a little bit on Twitch.
Dalek, I could literally be like, just go on Pornhub and search for Easter egg
Yes.
that's on there. Like
Or
that's
Chucky.
legitimately on the website. But
Oh man.
yeah, http://the2SP00ky4.me. That's me. Done. I'm out.
Drop the mic
All
right there.
Type it in.
All right. You can also find all this stuff in the description and in the cards as well, and a link to the annotated on screen. Any last bits about Unsub Johnny or anything you want to touch up on, Matt and John?
Fuck John.
Milo? Unsub Johnny.
Yeah.
All right. Good shit. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next week for another wonderful episode of Zombros. Bye.
See ya.
Space Dog.